Hey, what's up, guys? This is Church of Caboose, and for today's Destiny 2 video, we are going to talk about Destiny 2 and mostly its failings. We'll talk about some of my opinions on things that I wish they did differently as a whole for the whole game of Destiny 2, but mostly we're going to focus on Season of the Worthy to include the things like error codes and Trials of Osiris, as well as incentives to play. You may have noticed I am playing Destiny 1 in the gameplay right here. That is mostly because of two factors. One is Watercrest, which if you want to know what I'm talking about, there's a card on your screen. And the other reason is I am out of reasons that I kind of care about playing Destiny 2 right now. I'm not saying I'm done with Destiny 2, but for now, it'd be more fun to play through Destiny 1 again. So my wife never played Destiny 1, so she made a character. I deleted my Titan, and we are running from scratch through all the stories and all that goodness, just having a fun time playing Destiny 1 again. I might make a series of videos about Destiny 1 versus Destiny 2, kind of comparing the two, or just a video. Let me know down below what you guys think of that. And then finally, if you do enjoy this kind of content, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and tell me what kinds of things that you enjoy so I know how to best keep you guys entertained. Alright, so let's talk about Destiny 2 and some of the things I wish it did differently. In general, I have a couple of main issues with Destiny 2. One, it caters way too much to the casual players, meaning like almost everything in the game is very easy for most people to do, or at the very least is super duper attainable by the vast majority of the Destiny community. By vast majority, like I'm talking like 90%. Basically, as long as you've got the ability to LFG and use your brain and your thumbs at the same time, like you can pretty much do anything in the game. There were very few things that were not attainable by most of the community. Some very good examples of those, I guess, not for everyone things would be Not Forgotten, Luna's Howl, and Mountaintop and Recluse. Like those weapons were super duper hard to attain for the majority of the community. Very few people had Not Forgotten, and probably around, I don't know exactly how many, but there was a good chunk of people that had things like Luna's Howl and Recluse, but it was not everybody. And then Bungie decided to make those quests even easier by adjusting how the scoring goes for the glory score and the competitive playlist, by adjusting like how many kills are needed for Mountaintop, that sort of thing. And those weapons quickly turned into like almost everyone, if you want the gun, you have it. Whereas before, lots of people wanted those different weapons, but I would argue the majority of people didn't have them, especially Not Forgotten. And then Bungie, did the whole quest adjustment thing, as well as nerfed Luna's Howl, Not Forgotten, by making them from 180 round per minute hand cannons to 150s, and they also did some nerfs with Recluse. Now, those guns are still good, but they're definitely not as good. So that's just some really good examples of catering to the casual player, which I think has had a huge effect on Trials. When we talk about Trials, I will get back more into why I think the casualization has really impacted Trials of Osiris. The second issue with Destiny 2 that I have as like an overarching theme is incentives to play. A lot of people, or at least the very least myself, I just don't feel much of a reason to play. Like, I like having all the guns. Like, once I have all the guns, why do I want to play? Now, there's certain guns, obviously, I would love to have God rolls of, and so, like, when the Mindbenders, the Hollow Lair, Nightfall pops up, I usually will do a handful of those to see if I can't get a slightly better Mindbenders, but, like, that's one of the very few examples we have of incentive to play. A lot of the incentives to play in Destiny 1 were things like Sparrows, Ghost Shells, full armor, raid sets, Nightfall, and strike-specific loot that would drop. That was just something that was super duper desirable and things that people wanted to get. One good example from Destiny 1 was the Fatebringer. Another one was a Mago's Loop. Then you had all these incentives for just playing, because exotics weren't just quests that appeared for everyone in the whole Destiny universe at the same time. It would be more like you rank up your Vanguard dude and you have a chance at one of the exotic quests from the whole loot pool dropping, and you could then do that exotic quest. The third reason why I think the third problem that Destiny 2 is having is really doing those carry services. I think the second reason with involving the quests plays into a little bit with those carry services, because in Destiny 1, not everyone would just assume you had everything right when it came out. So people were more willing to help. Things in Destiny 1 were just more difficult to acquire, and so like people just really weren't like all into like I want to pay people to do stuff, and I really don't recall people offering as much to do account recovs and power boosting and such as we have today. And I believe the casualization plays into that, which we'll also talk about in a little bit more depth later on. I just want to let you guys know, I think one thing that's kind of ruining Destiny 2 is those account recovs, glory boosting, and carrying services where people will pay money to get either flawless cards or exotics, or to get like their power boosted, whatever, and within Destiny 2. And I think a lot of that comes, people just don't really have an incentive to play. So like, see how these things are kind of tying in together. So those are like my three main reasons, I guess, for like overarching with Destiny 2 of some big problems that are occurring. Now let's talk more specifically about Season of the Worthy. And what's going on with that. We got like nothing new in Season of the Worthy. If you're a newer player, or perhaps aren't a hardcore seasoned veteran player such as myself, you might have lots of loot to go after. You might have those various titles that you're trying to acquire, because maybe you care about titles. You might have those different Nightfall drops from year one that you're trying to go after. But if you're a veteran player who was just kind of relying on the new content from the season as being the things that you were going to play, we didn't really get a whole lot. We basically got Trials, which is a huge hot mess right now, and then we got the Seraph Towers, which that's it. Like, we didn't get a new raid, we didn't get a new strike, we didn't get a new layer. We got like nothing. And some people might want to say, "Oh, but Church, Bungie has limited resources." No, like, they have limited personnel, but as far as like the money to pay for stuff, no, like they're good. Like, there's been all kinds of people. You could look up like videos and find people like, hey, like this is the probable amount of money Bungie has, and when they compare it to different games of similar like financial abilities and whatever, Bungie is being super duper stingy with the content they're putting out. I would also say Bungie announced not super long after they split from Activision that these seasons were going to have less content in them. So why are they still charging us the same amount they were charging before for less content? So they're getting paid the same amount to do less work. So money isn't the issue. If personnel is the issue, then they should hire somebody. All the cheaters, the error codes, how long stuff is being taken to fix. Like, Watercrest is entering 7 weeks of not having a fix for it yet, which means we have 7 weeks of Xbox players not being able to play. Now, it's not every Xbox player. It's just, as Bungie likes to say, quote, a small number of players on Xbox, end quote, are having issues with. But still, that's like thousands of people that haven't been able to play your game for 7 weeks for something you should have been able to fix. So maybe you guys got to be hiring people to do things like your security team and your fixing error codes, or I don't know. Like, this season's got an insane number of error codes that are having a huge adverse effect on the game. There are streamers like Glad and MTashed who got so fed up with the lack of content and or error codes that they've kind of been like, hey, we're like, Glad was like, I'm done. Glad was flat out tweeted like, hey, I'm probably basically done with Destiny for a couple of seasons, other than like new content. Like, I'll probably drop in on weekly resets to check stuff out and see what's new, maybe do some pinnacles or whatever. But otherwise, I'm basically done for a couple of seasons, unless, Bungie fixes their game. Then I've seen one big streamer, MTashed. He does lots of Trials stuff. On a Trials day, playing Dark Souls. And I saw him do this about a day after he posted a couple of videos about basically him being fed up and considering leaving Destiny for a bit. So like, I'm not saying he's for sure off of Destiny. I'm just saying it's not a good sign that we have these big streamers and content creators just not playing the game that much anymore, especially on weekends where they would probably be having a significant portion of their income coming in from doing things like Trials of Osiris. So that's really the huge thing with Season of the Worthy is Trials came out half-baked. Like, it came out like big old pile of poo-poo. And then we got like zero content for PvE. Maybe Guardian Games will be good. I don't know. We will have to find out on the 21st if it's going to be any good or not. I suspect it'll be mediocre. And I'm thinking the really big overarching problem between Destiny 2 and especially like Season of the Worthy was kind of like the nail in the coffin, is that I'm not getting that hyped for all these leaks for the Collapse expansion anymore. I'm like, alright, cool, you're talking a big game. Now, like, prove me wrong. Prove me, like I want to be excited, but I'm not. I'm just like, cool, like, I want to still get it. I want to still play it because I enjoy the game, and I like making content for all of you guys. But at this point, you've lied to me too many times. I've fallen for your mistakes and backed you guys up through way too much crap, and now I'm kind of over it. Like, you guys have more or less lost my loyalty. At this point, I'm just like, well, if it sucks, that's just Bungie. Like, if it's great, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's good. Finally, something like Forsaken. Maybe they'll keep it up. But I don't know. Anyways, that kind of wraps up my part about Season of the Worthy. Now let's talk about Trials. I wanted to mention Trials separately because Trials is supposed to be indefinite, so I wanted to put a little bit more effort into specific ideas for fixing Trials because they potentially could. They can't really do anything about Season of the Worthy, but they can do stuff about Trials. So Trials has tons and tons and tons of cheaters. PC, I saw some statistics on a video where PC, like Steam reported like 300,000 cheats were downloaded leading up to the first weekend of Trials on PC. And that's insane. I'm seeing videos of people posting like from this current weekend of Trials of dudes doing insane hacks. One guy has the gamer tag of cheater. Like if you've seen MTash's video where he kind of like, I'm over this stuff. I think it's called Hacker King. Like they show some very obvious blatant cheating and he's sarcastic as hell. And when he and his teammates are laughing, to me it's like laughing in misery.
Alright, I'm gonna go cry.
Because, like, what else can they do? Like, they can't obviously do anything to prevent this guy from cheating. Bungie's clearly not doing anything to prevent this guy from cheating. In fact, the only thing I've really seen from Bungie about their tweeting, and I'm going to have a screenshot here. Look at that tweet. DMG, all he says is basically, hey, stop swearing and being rude to our security team when you submit issues. If you do that, you could get banned from your platform. Like, I don't know if that means banned from, like, the way you submit it, so you can't submit reports anymore, or if that means banned from playing the game on, like, that exact platform you're playing on. I don't know. But either way, you're either getting banned faster than a cheater because you're reporting somebody, and so like you're being banned from reporting anyone else anymore because they're like, boo-hoo, our feelings, or you're getting banned from playing more than like a cheater is. Like you're like, hey, you mofos, like do your damn jobs. This guy's been cheating forever. Like here's all this proof, and they're like, you're banned because you were rude to us. Like, how does that make any sense? Like, that's like, and I'm sure it's not even DMG's fault. I bet you some fat cat bigwig up top was like, yeah, DMG, tell your peeps all this stuff. Like, I want to have faith in DMG that he's not this much of an idiot to, like, be like, hey, if you hurt our feelings, you're going to get banned in some way or another. And so that, I don't know, that just really ticked me off when I saw that tweet. And then when it comes down to all these error codes that are ruining flawless runs, they're getting people kicked out of games, they're making it where folks can't play the game at all. Their response with the tweet was, look, here's a resource of how you can report you're having issues. But if you go and look in those forums where people are having issues, almost no one from Bungie is replying anyways, so like, what's the point of telling them? And when they do reply, they're like, we know about this issue, just be patient, and like, I guess let us continue to have our thumbs in our bums. is like the gist I get from it when I read those few and far between replies. They're just copy and paste replies, which doesn't make us feel super hopeful that they're going to fix anything. And those codes are having a huge impact on trials, which is why I'm mentioning those error codes again. And then finally, trials, it's dying. I'm not going to say it's dead, because before Trials of the 9 was canceled, they had only 50,000 people playing Trials of the 9. This current weekend, from a video I saw posted by Lucky, he said we had 250,000 people playing Trials of Osiris. So it's not dead yet, but he's like, dude, it's getting close. The population the second week, or the week that Anomaly was in the map, was 320,000 people playing Trials. So in just a couple of weeks, we've lost almost 100,000 players. And I'm betting a lot of those players were probably normal Joes, such as myself, or people that aren't big name PvP sweats and folks that have huge incomes coming off of streams and whatever. Which is the result that's happening is all these streamers who are trying to help folks. I see lots of streamers trying to do carries to the lighthouse and whatnot, are playing against other big streamers, and mostly these recov places and the cheaters. The population is so low that your odds are real high of at some point during a flawless run you are going to play and probably lose to a cheater or a recovery team. And it's on both PC and Xbox and PlayStation. Stadia seems to be a little bit better off, but Stadia is still really sweaty. You can't really cheat on Stadia. It's very, very difficult because it's run by Google. And so I've been finding lots of PC players who are really good on PC are now playing on Stadia. And so Stadia is actually getting real, real sweaty just because it's a lot harder to cheat. And I'm not finding recovery services when I Google for Stadia. And so Stadia is an option, but it's almost tougher than Xbox and any other platform, just because you don't have to necessarily deal with the cheaters and the DDoSing as much. But there's lots of really good players that are I'm sick of all this stuff on my other platforms, so I want to play on Stadia. So that's kind of the trade-off. So what can Bungie do to try and have players come back and to play Trials of Osiris, especially because this is a playlist that's indefinite, and so they could have lots of fixes coming. One easy suggestion would be to change the token system. Just make it where your tokens don't require 3 wins to turn in, and or get rid of that whole tokens expiring thing. If you're a team that is trying to grow together as a team and you're struggling to get 3 wins and your tokens just disappear, why would you ever play Trials to keep on trying to get better to get 3 wins when you know you're very likely just going to waste all that time for literally nothing? For nothing. If Bungie just got rid of the tokens disappearing, you could have incentive, and it'd be a very small incentive, but it might be enough for people to keep playing, where, hey, eventually you'll get 3 wins because you'll get better. And think of how many tokens you can turn in to farm for the god roll of whatever piece of gear it is you just unlocked. That is the easiest fix I can think of to implement in Trials of Osiris that would bring some longevity and more interaction with the player base to the playlist. I would also suggest just getting rid of the token system and bringing back the original D1 Trials of Osiris system, where you just did a bounty and you got a piece of gear. You didn't necessarily have to win, just complete the bounty and you could get some Trials gear. People loved playing Trials of Osiris. Granted, it did have a decline in population because, like anything, people either get tired of it, people get tired of having to work so hard for loot, that kind of thing, and then people eventually just fade out of the game. But it wasn't just ended like Trials of the 9. Trials of the 9 was decisively, hey, this thing's failed, it's doing us zero good to have this running, so we're quitting it. Trials of Osiris from D1 only ended because D1 ended. And just so you guys know, I checked it out. You can still play Trials of Osiris on D1. Brother Vance was there this weekend when I was in the Reef social space, so you could still play Trials on Destiny 1. And if you're really sick of Trials on D2, I would strongly suggest you consider bringing back up Destiny 1, or if you don't own it, consider buying it if you want to play Trials. And Trials in Destiny 1 is locked behind a paywall, which means it's going to be rougher for people to cheat because they can't cheat, have an account banned, make a new cheat new account and play for free. They would have to buy that many copies of the game in order to cheat. So, like, if, for example, if they cheated on their account, they got banned, they do another account, they would have to rebuy the $60 just to play and cheat on Trials of Osiris on that account, and then continue the process however many times they feel like. So I'm guessing cheating will be better, which leads me into a great solution for Destiny 2 Trial of Osiris. Whoever thought it should be free to play, that was obviously, in hindsight, a really dumbass idea. Because people are just cheating, they get banned. Cool. Make another account because Trials is free to play. Banned. Make another account because Trials is free to play. Banned. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you have that paywall, it's a lot tougher for people to afford just to cheat. And some of these guys are cheating just for the hell of it. They're not necessarily getting paid. So, like, you would potentially reduce the number of cheaters if you have implemented some sort of a paywall in order to be able to access Trials of Osiris. Some things I wanted to leave this video with is that Destiny 2 does do some good things. Like, I do appreciate the attempts to try and be creative with some of the weapons. I do think Xenophage was kind of cool. The Shadowkeep storyline, when you get into it, it gets really dark and creepy, and that's a pretty cool thing that they did. But overall, there's just so much stuff that Bungie just fails at that I'm not even sure I can do. Like, if someone was to ask me, hey, is Destiny 2 a good game? I'd be like, well, I think it's a fun game at times, but no, it's not a good. To me, to be a good game, you have to be able to at least meet the minimum bar of fixing your mistakes in an efficient manner and making it where your players can play. Like, that is the minimum of a game. So the fact we're on error codes that make the game unplayable, or literally where you cannot play at all, not even just log in and you might get kicked out of a match, but you can't even log in. Like, you don't even hit the minimum bar, Bungie, for having a good game. Like, you can try and be super duper picky all we want, but the minimum bar is you have to have a playable game, because otherwise, what's the point of having a game? So fix your shit, dudes. Like, I feel like it shouldn't be that hard. Like, do you guys not play test your stuff? Do you just have one person in a conference room talking to themselves, being like, hey Bob, this will be a really good day. Like, I'm just envisioning like that Family Guy sketch of Gary Busey, where it's like, how you doing, Gary? You're doing great.
How am I doing today, Gary Busey? You're doing great. Good. Then I'll keep it up.
Like, when he's talking to himself in the mirror, like, I'm just kind of envisioning that's what someone at Bungie's doing, where they're like spitting balling ideas, and that's just how the conversation's going. It's just back and forth with one person. I don't know. That just makes me laugh a little bit. And trying to smile through the pain. Alright, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope some of these opinions of mine were opinions you share. I would love for you guys to share your own thoughts down below. Again, if you would like to see some sort of a video comparing D1 and D2, specifically things I wish D2 had that they could take from D1 or bring into future expansions, whether it's D3 or whatever, let me know. And I'm thinking about either doing a video or a series comparing a bunch of different aspects of Destiny 1 to Destiny 2. You guys are fantastic. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I have a Discord server if you guys all want to play with me. Check me out at Twitch on Church of Caboose /twitch.tv. That whole thing. Just look up Church of Caboose, you'll find me. And tune in. If you're on Xbox, we can play together. If you need Destiny 1, folks, you're welcome to play with me. I've got a handful of friends. We're going to try and build together raid teams and have some fun with Destiny 1 while we wait for Destiny 2 to unfudge itself. I am Church of Caboose. Have a great week and happy grinding, y'all.